Would lead time reductions help your organization become more responsive, adaptable, and efficient? Lead time reductions are not just an external opportunity, that of the supplier or vendor getting you the product or service faster, but it's also an opportunity for internal improvements. In this video, I will outline to you methods and techniques that you can use to reduce your total lead time and therefore have a positive effect on your company's operation. So, coming up, lead time reductions. Welcome. I am Jeffrey McDaniels from SCM Trainer. We're supply chain management practitioners that are also Apex Master Instructors. We provide the best tips and tools to enhance your supply chain management knowledge and skills. Our training is provided on YouTube video, e-learning on demand courses, and in instructor-led classroom training. So let's talk about lead time reductions. I've been very effective in using this method, so I'm happy to share it with you. Now, before we get into the tips and techniques, let me give you some of the benefits that a company will have if you can reduce your total lead time. Depicted on this slide is the business case for lead time reduction, and it should be considered before you start any initiative. The end results are depicted here, but if you summarize all of those, what you're trying to do is make your operations much faster, smarter, and cheaper. Over the next few slides, I'll talk about lead time. So let's first start off with the definition of lead time. So please take a look at the slide images as part of this video, because I'll be talking off of those slides. Lead time has traditionally been viewed as supplier lead time, from the receipt of the purchase order to delivery. Well, to gain a better understanding of total lead time, we should expand this definition. A process approach is needed to gain the greatest reduction in total lead time. Lead time reductions are both internal to your supply chain organization as well as with the supplier and transportation partners. So as you can see from this slide, that the total lead time starts with the recognition of the need in your operation and then continues until the product is received and available at the point of use. The time between recognition of the need for an order and the receipt of the order consists of these major activities. Order preparation and release. These are actions done within your organization consisting of material management and procurement typically. The second one is the supplier lead time. And the supplier lead time here, please note it does not include the transportation time. It's all the actions the supplier needs to do to prepare, to support the order, to manufacture it, to order parts, whatever the case may be. The third area is the transportation, and that's movement from the supplier, preparation for movement, movement of supplier, and then movement from the dock or from the port of transportation to your facility. And the fourth area is the receipt, inspection, put away, and or movement to the point of use. So as you can see, we are trying to cover and understand better all four components or activities that make up total lead time. From this slide, you'll see a lead time example that we'll use throughout this video. It is a product that comes from one supplier, has a total lead time of 123 days, as you can see. A lot of time to get this part. By the way, we order this part about every 2 months. We have 5 orders a year. It's one of our more expensive parts. So let's look at it in greater detail. So let's start off with tip 1. And tip 1 is to gain an understanding of the elements that make up total lead time and the amount of time needed to complete each stage. As you can see, the 4 activities have been expanded down the left side of this image. And you see the 4 categories: order prep and release, supplier lead time, less shipment, transportation time, and then receipt time. If you notice, we have a time element there, which is in days, and we have the totals as well as a breakdown for each of the subsections. If you notice, in some of the areas, we actually have the time, the amount of time that we have. For example, order preparation, it takes us, material management request takes 2 days, and then it's 5 days in procurement to get their approval. Well, if you go down the category, some of these have dates and others don't. Now, in the case of transportation time, while the shipper is shipping it to us, we have good information that we can look at to give us historical and to tell us what the transportation times are. And you notice it's broken down in categories too. And then there's receiving time. That's internal, so we know what that time is. So that's tip one. Gain an understanding of the elements, the makeup lead time, and the amount of time needed to complete each stage. Now we need to go and do some more analysis, and we also need to go to the supplier, work with them to determine what each of their subcomponents, the amount of time is. And we'll do that in the next couple of slides. Now, this is tip 2. We need to look for opportunities for improvement, for lead time reductions. And we do that, what I suggest you use is a value, non-value evaluation. Now, on the first slide here, you'll notice that I'm looking at the order preparation and release time, and I've taken those 7 days, and based upon our analysis, you'll realize we have some non-value time and some value time. Value times are things that add value to the customer. And in this case, I'm looking external to the end user, but also to us as an organization. So what you can see is that my value time is actually only 2 days out of the 7, and I have 5 days in which the items, the requisitions, and the approvals are pending. So we have a non-value of 5 days, and I've broken those down proportionally based upon our analysis. Now, in the next chart, what you'll see is I've broken it down for all the categories. I've been able to gain some information from the customer. This is a preliminary chart of value and non-value. So our focus is on reducing non-value time as much as possible to gain a lead time reduction. In this example, 123 days, or approximately 23% of that time, is non-value time. So our plan is to reduce as much as we can of this non-value time, as well as to work with our partners to find other ways to reduce the total value time. We may look at some process changes or other things, or use some other types of supplier relationships or supplier techniques for resupply to further reduce the value time. Tip 3 is to collaborate with your internal, that's within your own organization, and your external partners, which are outside of your organization, and to get them to work with you in a cross-functional team, work together to reduce lead times. Now, as you notice from the chart here, there are some things we need to do. We need to further develop the business case, not only for us internally, but also for our partners. We do that in collaboration with them. We need to gain executive and senior support from within our organization. We need to develop a cross-functional team to do this. This is not something that you want to be done only in the operations section or material management section. You want to include all of the partners. Now, if you notice, I've added finance and transportation and sourcing or procurement. They all are involved in this. Collectively, you need to set objectives, timelines, and action steps. And this is the first step. These are internal. External, you need to do the same thing. You need to gain executive senior support from them. Sometimes your sponsor or your exec senior support is the one that helps facilitate this, drives this. But you really need to have executive to executive decision making for both organizations to help drive the improvements. Then you expand your improvement team to include people from the supplier, transportation, and operation. And this is a group that works collectively together, collaboratively. This is not something that's dictated. by your organization, but you work together. So you set goals, timelines, and action steps. How does that sound? It sounds easy. It just takes a little work to develop this. This is really the foundation of your supplier relationship management, as well as your foundation for performance management, not only to meet the timelines, but other performance objectives that you may have set in the contract or in your service level agreement. Now that brings us to tip 4. Prioritize and select improvement opportunities in collaboration with your partners. And this needs to be in collaboration. You need to trust them if you want them to get involved. And you need to work with them to find objectives for them and benefits for them so they actively want to get engaged and to help you reduce the lead times. So you want to establish communication plans, evaluate your improvement opportunities, prioritize them, do all the things that you would do to select the best opportunity. And then go ahead and start communicating this. Now, your communication plan is critical because you want to keep all the members of the team, as well as their bosses, any stakeholders, involved. You want them to understand what y'all are working on. And the last tip is this. Then you plan, execute, and monitor the improvement initiative. This is done again by that cross-functional team, both internal and external of the operation. Plan and execute it. You monitor it. You monitor the short, mid, and long term in relationship to the objectives. And the objectives are not only time, but also cost. You conduct an after action and during action reviews. What did you learn from last week's activities? What have you learned from this whole initiative? You collect all of that, then you use this as your pilot for your improvement initiatives in the future. So it is a model for other lead time improvement initiatives with other suppliers. Please do not roll this out without conducting a pilot. Secondly, don't try to do it quickly. Do one improvement initiative at a time until you become very good at it, then do another, then do another, then do another. This is not something you can do in a very short time or across many suppliers at one time. So that was our 5 tips. I put it back on the charts for you so you can see them, all 5 steps. Again, this is a cross-functional project done by your organization and your partners, your suppliers. Tip 1, gain an understanding of the elements that make up lead time. 2, look for opportunities for improvement. Again, I use the non-value versus value time. You can use any method you would like to use. Number 3, collaborate internal and external partners with internal and external partners to work together to reduce lead time. This has to be a win and win for both of you, so make sure you do this collaboratively. And you're going to do a lot of cheerleading here, trying to get the other parties to understand why this is the best thing for your supply chain. Tip 4, prioritize and select the improvement opportunity in collaboration with your partners. And step 5, plan, execute, and monitor the improvement initiatives. Now, depicted in this slide image is a real-world example, a successful example of implementing total lead time reduction using the 5 steps that I've outlined in this video. If you notice, the total lead time at the beginning was 181 days. Utilizing the 5-step process, we were able to reduce this by collaboratively working with our Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 suppliers, all of them that make up the total lead time. And we worked together, and we were able to reduce the non-value time to achieve a lead time that was 72% less than the total lead time we had at the beginning. So we were able to reduce it a significant amount, as you can see. This has worked for me in the past numerous times, just using these 5 steps. So I recommend again to you, follow these steps, they work. This brings us to the question of the day. And that is, what are your recommendations, feedback, and comments on today's topic? Lead time reductions. I know there's a lot of good tips out there and some that I did not mention. So I'll love to hear from you in the comment section below. And remember that some of the best tips and tools comes from you.